Again, totally fine, totally understandable as to why you would need them in the first place.
Right.
That's a whole nother episode on itself,
Yeah.
is STDs and testing. We're going to have that episode in the future.
I've heard of people saying that they couldn't stand that rule because in the moment, it's too hard for them to remember to use protection. I've heard people actually state this, and it just occurred to me of, wow, you really don't care. Like, that's not even caring about yourself, let alone all of the people in your life that are affected by this.
Yeah.
Right, especially in a polycule. I know we had mentioned in one of our previous episodes talking with Mai how she used to be the one that, she put it as, I would find out what you did for a Klondike bar. And that's the thing, is that that's a rule. That's a fairly important rule. It being tested, using protection.
Right.
Any kind of, whatever kind of protection that you agree on. Fluid bonding, all this stuff. Again, rules that are good.
Yeah. I've heard of polycules that they had a rule where even after the person tested clean, it was a while before they were fluid bonded. So they kept using protection even though the test came up clean.
Mm-hmm.
And
just because it took time to develop trust. It took time to develop, because, yeah, the action's happening and sex is fun, but there's a lot of risk involved when we don't know what somebody's habits are.
Right.
So you're in polyamory. Does this person
they
step out a lot? Do they headhunt a lot? Do
your principles and expectations and morals align?
That's exactly it. It's one of those things where some things are not meant to be broken. Those are things that protect your life, your safety, your health, and all of the people involved. We have children, and it's one of those things where we'd really rather not put our lives at risk. Because we kind of want to be here to hold grandchildren.
Right.
Our grandcats, whichever comes first.
Grandcats, granddogs, it's all good.
Grand snakes. So, yeah, again, it comes down to figure out what rules work for you. Not all rules are bad. But if there's a rule that, you kind of question as to why that rule is there in the first place, then you need to talk about it. It comes down to that. Talk about it. And again,
communicate.
Everybody has to start somewhere. Not everybody's going to be full like, oh yeah, poly, I know everything about it. And if they say they know everything about poly,
oh Lord,
run. Just run. It's that simple. We don't know everything about poly. We're still finding shit out. We're still learning and doing things that
because you know what? Just like with every different person, you may have done something one way, but you're going to experience a million different ways depending on who you're with. So, it doesn't matter if this was done this way and you had this experience. Every single partner is going to be a different experience, even if it's the same situation.
And that's it. And that's
That's
good.
good.
That pretty much comes down to it. Yeah. We should have moments of Jay's epiphany moments, or Jay's, what's the word I'm looking for? Come on, Crow, you had
mic drop moments.
Yeah, Jay's mic drop moments.
Whatever.
No, but seriously, that's what it comes down. Again, Jay's mic drop moments that you always have. Almost every episode, every time I'm listening to this and editing, it's Jay comes out and just mic drop. Yeah. So yeah, it all comes down to that. Just talk about the rules. Communicate about the rules. Figure out why do you need the rules in the first place. Compromise is a big thing. Compromise. You're going to have to compromise because you're not the only person in a relationship, unless you're in a relationship with yourself. And hey, you make your own rules.
Hey, and there are a lot of lists that you can come up with, and you can even Google search lists of possible no's or hard no's or soft no's, and you can totally, that should be one of the first discussions that you have with somebody. I think that was one of the first ones we had.
Oh yeah.
It was what are your hard no's? And I had to really sit and think what are my hard no's? I'm pretty open as long as you're respectful of whatever. But yeah, so you have to have those. You have to know. So you have to have communicated with your existing partners, and you have to have all of that and be responsible and just carry forth with honor and integrity and loyalty. And if you do that, then you're going to be good to go. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they find us, Zan?
In the closet.
Yeah, we're in the closet right now.
Oh, so they can find us at poly-saturated.com. If they want to hit us up on Twitter, it's poly_saturated. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/polysaturated. Anything would be helpful there. We do love our listeners, and we'd like to keep this going. So we appreciate any kind of support you can possibly give us. You can find us
Become
at
a sweet bean.
Sweet bean, Actually, I think I'm going to put a...
Sweet beans.
If
Flick
anybody
the
wants...
bean.
You know what? You just came up with our poly-saturated Patreon dollar levels. Flick the bean.
Yeah.
Expect that up next week.
Flick the bean and flip your Twinkie.
Okay, I'm liking this even more. The
Yeah.
flip the Twinkie could be the $3 level. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
see?
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, there we go. You see how Jay does this?
I'm the money maker. I don't know. I'm just...
Yeah. If they want to find us on Facebook, you can find us at Polysaturated on Facebook. Just search us up. If you want to drop us an email, ask us at poly-saturated.com.
Don't leave us with a dry email box.
Oh, and, I'm
It
trying
needs
to...
stimulated.
And, so we are all Android users here. We're all using Android phones.
Right.
And I know that asking, most Android users to do something on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or something like that takes a lot of effort, because I really, it's you got to create an account and all this other stuff, and it's not fun. But it takes a little bit of time. But you know what? Those iTunes...
Things over in my life.
There's been heartache and pain. Anyway, you see what you got me started here. Speaking of concerts, I have not seen Foreigner live.
I didn't know that was Foreigner.
Yeah. Oh wait, that's part of the bingo. So what was I saying?
I don't know.
Hold on.
Were you listening either?
No, I
Gemini.
was. There was something. We understand how not everybody's an Apple member or not Apple users. But if you can go on to iTunes and give us a 5-star review, that would help us out immensely to rank us up, for rankings and stuff like that. So it helps. Any little bit helps, that type of thing. So anyway.
Pretty pleased with Poly 11 on top?
Yeah, pretty pleased. It's just not sticky palette. Well, unless you like the sticky palette. So, on that note, remember, guys?
I think this was my...
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody else took my shit from me tonight, so...
What did
Yeah.
you take?
What are you taking from you?
Anyway,
You didn't set a rule.
I thought you were loyal enough to understand.
I am. But you're going
yeah.
to put a rule in place, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Keeping it polyamorous is...
Keeping it poly real.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Till next time.